Good morning, everybody. Today is day one of our Renew Your Energy Challenge. I am Kim Jordan. For those who don't know me, I am a nutritional therapy practitioner, and I just want to get started by going over a couple of things since today's day one, just some reminder points of how this is all going to work, and then we'll get started with our topic for the day, which is a nourishing diet. So if anybody is going to be joining in live, I'll give you a couple minutes before I actually get started. And obviously this will be recorded. So for those of you who can't join us, I know it's a tricky time. You can always watch the recording later. We wanted to do this first thing in the morning to give you all day to watch it and participate in our little contest we have. So the first thing I just wanted to touch upon quickly is your workbook. So like I said, because today is day one, I do want to go over a few things before we jump into it. So you'll notice in your workbook, you have on page 2, we are diving into our body and balance principles. So if you follow Amanda or I on Instagram and Facebook, you'll notice that we've been posting about these in depth. So if you want to read a little bit more about them, you can. That's on the second page of your workbook. But where I really want to just tune in really quickly is that third page, so second page after the cover, which goes into like just an introduction about what this journey is all about, why we created this challenge, and then there's a little goals section. Now I know we asked and a lot of you answered, which is awesome. We loved hearing everybody's goals and sharing what you wanted to get out of this challenge. So this is just a little mini exercise. It'll take you just a few minutes to really reflect, because we want to make sure that this is primarily focused on obviously how you feel. We're talking about a number of different nutrition topics and lifestyle factors that contribute to your energy. So we want to make sure that you're all kind of checking into yourself, seeing what you want to get out of this challenge and how you want to feel by the end. So there's just a couple questions that you can fill in right in your workbooks and a few tips for success. And then you'll see, if you scroll down, you'll have our schedule and then our information for day one. So we will be going over this. I'll explain the contest for today and how you'll use each of these pages for your, for your benefit. So for those of you who are on, I'm guessing you can hear me, but if you can't, please let me know. Okay, so today let's dive in. Today is a really, really great topic. Obviously, diet. Amanda and I are both nutritionists, so yes, diet makes a huge impact on your health, how you feel every day, mentally, physically, emotionally. So today we're definitely going to talk a lot about diet and a different way of thinking about diet than maybe you're used to, and definitely a radical change from what I kind of was taught and learned throughout my years of dieting and losing weight and what it meant to diet for health instead of weight loss. So let's get started. Today we're talking about what a nourishing diet means. So we all kind of have this idea of diet, or at least women have this idea of diet as something that's restrictive, something that is not very pleasurable, something that, is a means to an end. We want a diet to look a certain way. We want to fit into a certain dress size, pair of jeans. We have that number tied to our head, so we think of diet as cutting back. And we have a different view of diet, and we'll explain how our view equates to health, how it obviously equates to energy. That's definitely what we're talking about a lot today. So we really want to clear up some confusion. So there's definitely a lot of confusion about diet and what a nourishing diet is. And there's conflicting information out there. There's a lot of misinformation. What's healthy? What's not healthy? And it changes every single day. And I think for women especially, we're just bombarded with all this information about dieting and restriction and depriving ourselves and can't eat this and can't have that and having to cut our portions and cut our calories, and we're just hungry and cranky and tired. And obviously it's not sustainable. And that is definitely what we want to hone in on when it comes to a nourishing diet. A nourishing diet is a diet for life. It is a means of eating that is sustainable, it's enjoyable, but it's also centered on your health and your well-being, and it's a diet that's naturally going to give you energy. So there's nothing here that's gimmicky. We're not talking about, shakes and pills and things like that to help you cut fat fast. This is definitely a diet that's going to help you feel good. And that's what's going to get you to your end goal. So the way we're going to view, and when I say the word diet, I want you to think of, not the way that we've learned to think of diet. Diet is a plan. A diet is a thing that is negative. We want to think of diet as positive. The real definition of diet is just the way one eats. It doesn't equate to restriction. It doesn't equate to deprivation. We're not equating to, a fad diet or what are the top 10 diets of the year. We're talking about simply the way that you eat. So we're looking at this as a frame of what is going to help your body thrive. And if you think about, how our culture and how society tells us diet looks like, it's not promoting health. It's not helping us to thrive. And I'm going to define a couple of aspects of what a nourishing diet is. And when you really think about it, if you've got low energy, if you're dealing with any symptoms on a daily basis, if you're restricting your body of calories, if you're restricting your body of nutrients, you really can't expect your body to thrive. Our goal here is to get your body working properly, get everything moving efficiently, get those signals firing. And those are things that create good energy. Those are things that help to manage your hunger signals, create healthy brain function. I mean, the list goes on. So giving your body the nourishment that it really needs from the inside out is what's going to provide you with good energy, help you feel your best. And even if you have, specific body-related physical goals, weight loss, fat loss, these are the things that are going to help you get there in a natural and nourishing way. So what exactly is a nourishing diet? And we're going to talk about this from two different angles here. So first, obviously, is, what makes a nourishing diet in a physical sense? So what makes a diet nourishing to your body? For one, the way we have to look at food might change slightly. So, calories and fat and carbs, and we look at these things negatively, like they're making us fat, or, too many calories in something you can't have. In essence, food is meant to provide us with fuel, and it's meant to provide us with nutrients. So nutrients that our bodies use as tools for all the different functions that we, carry out on a daily basis. So we can't look at food or calories or any one macronutrient as being bad. These are fuel for your body, and your body needs fuel. So food is fuel and nutrients, which provide our bodies with information. These are the building blocks of everything that goes on in our bodies. So when we look at it from an energy standpoint, these are the things that help us create energy. Food provides us with different types of nutrients. So we have our macronutrients, which are the largest nutrient that our body needs, because these provide us with calories. These provide us with fuel. So these three are fat, protein, and carbohydrates. I'm going to get into this a little bit later about how, what are the most nourishing types, of foods within these categories. But just know that you need fats, you need proteins, you need carbohydrates. There's definitely different types of each, and some that are, less helpful for your body than others. But we can't demonize one group as being bad. It's definitely all about quality, quantity, and balance. So we need those three macronutrients. Then we have our micronutrients from food. So these are our vitamins, our minerals, phytonutrients. These are needed in smaller amounts by the body, but we need a pretty good variety and a pretty big abundance of them to actually function. So this is stuff like magnesium, calcium, vitamin D, vitamin K, iron, list goes on. But your body needs these to carry out every single process. So creating energy, your body needs micronutrients, digestion, maintaining blood pressure, maintaining good brain function, managing your weight. Your body actually needs micronutrients, managing your blood sugar, which we'll definitely get into a little bit more on day 3. But we need those micronutrients. So if we are cutting back, again, food, and not getting enough macronutrients or not getting enough micronutrients, then we're definitely going to function suboptimally, and we're definitely not going to feel good. So if you're dealing with energy issues or any symptoms, really, not giving your body enough of what it needs is absolutely a contributor. So we want to think of food as being nourishment, food as being a good thing. Food is helping us to be healthy and feel our best and carry out our best lives. So again, back to the calorie conundrum here. Diets, popular diets, they demonize calories whether we think about it or not. And we're so trained that we don't even realize it. I ask this question a lot when I teach nutrition classes. It's when you read a food label, what's the first thing you look at? And almost every person will say the calories, because they want to see, does this food have too many calories, or how much of this food can I actually eat? And that's what's on everyone's minds, calories being bad. And, in a processed food, which we will get into, but yeah, the ratio of the calories to the micronutrients and macronutrients will be a little bit different. But we're taught to just look at calories, just the quantity of food, and not really focusing on the quality of it. So a nourishing diet, not that calories don't matter, because they do. Calories are, your body's energy source and fuel source, and eating too many of them can absolutely lead to, problems with weight gain and whatnot. But, calories inherently aren't bad. Calories are our fuel source. So when we think about what a nourishing diet is, we're not trying to cut back our calories. We are just not focusing on them as the main thing, because what we're going to focus on is the nutrition in our food. How much nourishment is present in a food? How many nutrients are present in relation to the amount of calories? And we'll do a little comparison later to kind of touch upon that. But, think about this as a frame of a highly processed food versus a really whole food. So something like potato chips compared to sweet potatoes, full, regular baked sweet potatoes, and how much nutrition is in each of those and how many calories are in each of those. That's how we think about calories, but primarily we're focused on the nutrition. And I know that you're probably wondering, well, how do I regulate how much I'm going to eat if I'm not looking at the calories, if I'm not counting the calories? And this is where, your body's natural regulation is going to come into play. And, not to get too in depth, because we will talk about this more later this week, but when you're eating good whole foods and your body's getting the nourishment that it needs, your hunger signals and your fullness signals are much more reliable. Your body's much more sensitive, because we have hormones that tell us when we're hungry, and we have hormones that tell us when we're full. And we lose those when we're not paying attention to our bodies, we're not in tune with our bodies, and we're eating really processed food that our bodies can't naturally, interpret, okay, I have enough, I've got what I need, or, I need more because I'm not getting the nutrition that I need. So in terms of a physically nourishing diet, we're focused on a diet that's going to provide an adequate amount, a variety, and a balance of nutrition from high quality whole foods, primarily. And I'll define some categories for you if you're confused later, but think of whole, real foods, unprocessed foods. And this is definitely going to look differently for each person. We all have different needs. We've got different goals, lifestyles, preferences. But that's what the beauty of a nourishing diet is that it's going to look different for everybody. And we're really here to help you define what that looks like for you at this time in your life. Some foods might not agree with you. Some, in terms of how much you're eating, you have to craft that to your specific needs if you're highly active. And we're here to talk about that. So we're not prescribing one perfect diet. We're just teaching you a foundation of what a nourishing diet means. And then throughout the week, you're going to learn a lot of different tools on how to, fine tune that diet, fine tune what and how much and when you're eating in order to optimize it for you. So what foods are physically nourishing? So like I said, we're going to talk about this in two frames, but here we're talking about physical nourishment. Physically nourishing foods are those whole foods that give us a really good abundance of nutrients. They help our bodies function their best, and they're going to help us to feel naturally energized because we're giving our bodies those tools that they need. So high quality, whole, nutrient dense foods that are closest to their natural states. So what types of examples are these foods if you're feeling confused? Proteins. So in our protein macronutrient category, these are going to be the highest quality protein foods are going to be complete proteins, meaning they have all of the essential amino acids our body needs. These are building blocks for our tissues in our body. And this is what really helps to build our body and create that good energy. So complete proteins are animal protein sources. Fish, chicken, turkey, eggs, beef, pork, organ meats, all of these animal protein products. Now, there's definitely some topics we need to consider when it comes to animal proteins, and I know there's a ton of misinformation out there, especially lately, a lot of buzz about meat being bad for you. It's never the case. We can never really demonize one food group, especially when our bodies are actually, we're biologically adapted to eating animal proteins. The problem is that the majority of animal proteins that Americans are consuming are so highly processed. They are, cured with things like nitrates and nitrites, and they're fed terrible diets, given antibiotics and hormones. So the meat itself is unhealthy. So yes, that is problematic. But when you're eating really high quality meat sources and you're prioritizing this in your diet, getting things that are wild and grass-fed and pasture-raised and organic, this is your main priority when it comes to your animal proteins. These are your high quality, nutrient-dense protein sources. Again, avoiding antibiotics and hormones and these things that are just, it creates an unhealthy animal when the animal is raised in that way. And it definitely reflects on the nutrient content of the food. So if we're thinking about getting the best nutrition from our protein sources, we have to choose those, cleaner, whole sources. Now, if you're a vegetarian, there are definitely some options to consider. You'll get protein from other foods. You'll get protein from other foods. But if you want to get all the amino acids that your body needs, the easiest way to do that is through animal proteins. If anybody has questions at any time, drop them in the comments. I'll either address them later during the talk, depending on how much time we've got left, or Amanda and I can go through and answer questions right in the comments. So our fats, this is my favorite category because I think there's so much confusion around it, especially with dieting. I know myself when I was doing, calorie counting diets when I was younger in order to lose weight, fat was really demonized because fat, has there's this myth around fat that fat is fattening. And, real quick, we'll just go over that. The fact that dietary fat is not equal to body fat. So dietary fat does not make you gain body fat. And fats are not fattening. The reason that came about is the fact that fats have more calories per gram. So they're more calorically dense, meaning they provide us with more fuel in a smaller amount. So it doesn't make them bad. It actually makes them a really great tool, especially for energy, to be getting enough good quality fats in your diet. We'll talk about what that balance will look like. But good fat sources, again, natural fats, nuts and seeds, things like avocados and coconut, good oils, avocado oil, coconut oil, olive oil, even rendered healthy animal fats. So grass-fed butter or clarified butter, which is ghee, lard and duck fat, all coming from good, healthy animal sources. These are really nourishing fats. Your body needs fats to make hormones. Your body uses them as a source of energy. They taste good. So removing fats from your diet is, it's not healthy, but it also, if we're thinking about a diet nourishing as being enjoyable, a low-fat and fat-free diet is not super tasty. So yes, getting a good variety of natural fats in your diet, these are nourishing foods. If it's whole and natural and not chemically altered, it's good for you. And then our last category is going to be carbohydrates. So again, a lot to discuss here when it comes to carbohydrates because there's definitely different varieties and types of carbs. But if you think about nourishing carbohydrates, we're thinking about complex sources, rich in fiber, unprocessed, unrefined. So a lot of vegetables, a wide variety of colors, all colors of the rainbow in terms of vegetables. Fruits as well. These are a good complex and unrefined carbohydrate source. Roots, tubers like potatoes, again, get demonized, but they're a good starch source, a good source of carbohydrate. And then this is where things definitely come into play in terms of personalization, but legumes and whole grains, especially if they're whole and properly prepared, and they make you feel good. So any of these categories, if you have an allergy to say dairy, and grass-fed butter will be a problem for you. So this is definitely a framework, but if you have any issues and these foods don't make you feel your best, then that's where we have to look at, changing what you're eating, or maybe there's something going on in your body that you're not properly digesting it. But this is just your framework of whole, natural, physically nourishing foods from each macronutrient source. So a couple tips, if you're looking to move towards a more nourishing diet, a more physically nourishing diet. So a couple of tips for you. Shop the perimeter of the grocery store. If you think about this is where, most of the real whole unprocessed foods are. So start by just shopping that perimeter and save those middle aisles for just like the baking essentials, cooking essentials. Very sparingly use those middle aisles. Choosing whole foods that don't have labels. So chicken is chicken, strawberries are strawberries, avocados are avocados. Choose more foods that you don't need to read a label because you know the ingredients of that food. When you are buying any packaged foods, just read the ingredients lists. You don't need to be a super detective if you don't want to. You can just do a quick scan. If you see things that are, long words or things that are unrecognizable or just sound like a chemical, it probably is. And if not, you can always Google it. I know we all got our phones in the grocery store. I do it all the time. Prioritize quality of food, color, variety. Where did your food come from? Think about that, and that will absolutely just help you start moving towards a more nourishing diet. How much processing went into that food in order to make it edible? These are just some tips for you to just figure out what's physically nourishing and start moving towards that without me telling you specific foods to buy or not. This is where we'll start talking really quickly about our workbook. So we have created a list of our top 10 favorite nourishing foods. So no, these are not, what we want your diet to be only comprised of. These are just extra, additional, really nutrient-dense, gut-nourishing, micronutrient-rich foods that are especially nourishing. So we've created a list of our top 10, and that's going to be part of our contest for today. So I'll talk about that at the end of this video. But another way for you to start moving towards a nourishing diet is just start using that list and adding some of those foods into your diet on a daily basis. So if you need more direction or explanation or a little bit of help, there are some resources I recommend. So I can post these in the video itself too, but there are some resources. So there's a great website called Real Plans, REALPLANS. And this is a real food meal planning source. You sign up online and you input if you have any dietary restrictions, and you're going to get meal plans with all amazing variety of real food recipes. You can swap, you can change things out, you can really craft it to how many meals you eat per week, how much you're cooking, and it really helps to give you a nice framework for, starting to move towards a more nourishing diet. If you're looking for already prepared meals, maybe you're short on time, or you don't love to cook so much, Kettlebell Kitchen is a really great resource for high quality already prepared meals that you just need to reheat. This is great if you're just starting out and you don't really know how to build your meals or what you want to comprise them of, if you're looking for some good variety. And then the last thing I really recommend is, reading reputable resources for nutrition information. So not just what the newest article is, or, the next fad diet, or something that your cousin's wife sent you about how meat is so bad for you. Reading educated people and following these people and seeing what they teach about diet, doctors and nutritionists and integrative practitioners. So I will post some links to some websites for that if you're looking to just learn a little bit more about nutrition, and also some of my favorite books. Some of these actually double as cookbooks, so I'll post a few of those resources. So if you're definitely looking for a little bit more direction, I will help you find that. So lastly, in terms of, a physically nourishing diet, we really do view food as medicine. It's a tool that you can use to create amazing health, amazing energy, and it's powerful. So just know that the choices that you make, just even the small choices you make, are making a huge impact on your life, on your health, and on your energy. So if you're just starting, if you're here and you're totally new to changing your nutrition and eating a little bit better for your health, know that small changes, moving, just reading labels, doing a couple of those tips, shopping the perimeter, looking at foods as whole foods and not really focusing so much on like how many calories are in this and can I have it. These are all just small areas that are going to really help to improve your health, improve your energy in the long run. All right, so now that we've talked about what a physically nourishing diet is, I want to highlight a couple of things when it comes to an emotionally nourishing diet. So yes, food primarily is absolutely physically nourishing. You're giving your body these physical tools to do what it needs to do. But where we think that diets and popular diet programs are lacking is this emotional and mental aspect of food too. And the food that you need needs to be nourishing on that level as well. So, I'm a big proponent of the fact that food is nourishment, but it also is connected to memories, it's connected to traditions, to love, to family, to enjoyment. There definitely is a pleasurable aspect of food that diets try to ignore or suppress or demonize by telling us, you can't eat that, but there definitely are emotional ties to food. And when you get your body functioning more properly, things like food cravings and some of the behaviors that you maybe have crafted over the years and created habits will go away so that you don't feel the need to maybe have chocolate cake every night. But there are definitely times where having chocolate cake might be warranted, and you need to work out a healthy balance in your diet in order for it to be sustainable. And that's where diets fail. Diets fail because, or diet plans, that bad word of diet, they fail because they're not sustainable and they don't really work in those, that balance aspect and teach you how to do it for yourself without telling you you're allotted this number of calories for a treat every week, or you have one cheat day or one cheat meal. That's kind of hand-holding as opposed to like creating a helpful diet that's flexible and that you know how to balance and you know when to indulge and why and on what foods. So there are definitely some emotional components and a couple things that I want to touch upon so that you always keep in the back of your mind. This is not about restriction. This is not about the perfect diet. This is about sustainability and enjoyment and obviously health. So we're focusing on, especially for a nourishing diet, and this week, we're not focusing on what you're taking out. That's not our main goal. We're focusing on what you're adding in. So you'll notice this week's challenge, today's challenge is focused on adding a food in, or two or three, or however many you wish. We're talking about adding things. What can you give your body to help it have natural energy, to help it function better? What foods make you feel good? And that's where you'll focus on addition, not restriction. We're not depriving your body. We're giving your body the tools it needs. Obviously, we're going to talk about limiting some foods or avoiding some foods, but not for any other reason than these might interfere with how you feel and how you function. So we want you focusing on adding the foods that help you feel your best and avoiding and limiting the things that don't. But we're not depriving you in every way. We're teaching you the tools you need to make those decisions for yourself. We're teaching you a different frame of mind. So instead of thinking, as popular diets do, you can't have this food or you can have this food, a nourishing diet is definitely more about choice. You are choosing what you eat and you're choosing what you don't eat, and you're taking the power back so that when you're faced with something, say, I don't know, donuts in your work break room, pretty popular. Instead of saying, if somebody offers that to you and you say, no, I can't eat that, it's not on my diet, how are you going to feel versus if you say, no, thank you, and in the back of your mind you think, that food's probably not going to help me feel so good, so I'm choosing not to have that. You're probably going to want that food a lot less when you actually make the educated choice based on how you feel to not eat that food. So we're not talking about restriction or deprivation. We're also not thinking of a diet. A nourishing diet is not reward, it's not punishment. So you don't need to restrict in order to counterbalance a day of indulgences maybe, or a week or a month. I know we just got over the holidays. So you don't need to, take January to truly restrict and be on a super strict diet because you ate some cookies and you indulged a little bit over the holidays. A nourishing diet is flexible, and it honors the fact that you're going to wax and wane in terms of, how whole and nutrient dense your food is. Sometimes you might be indulging, and you don't need to restrict or punish yourself for that fact. A nourishing diet also isn't moral. So we want to get away from the use of the words, bad and good. Foods are not bad. Certain foods are not good. There's definitely some foods that are more nourishing and some that are more inflammatory to your body, but it's not moral. Just as you're not good for eating a salad or not being bad for having a cookie. I always hate that term when, I'm being so bad because you're indulging in a glass of wine. You're not being bad. You're making a choice. And that's all. There's no morality around food. Food is just simply that. It's food. And lastly, even if your diet is super healthy, if you eat a super squeaky clean, unprocessed, organic, grass-fed, don't touch sugar, and you're physically feeling amazing, is that really sustainable if you're not enjoying it? Is it really a nourishing diet if what you're eating isn't enjoyable? And, I've come to learn, experimenting with a lot of different ways of eating, that when, I think about what my diet is, I actually eat what I want. I eat whatever I want. I eat how much I want. And yes, in certain contexts, that can seem ridiculous if somebody says, I eat whatever I want. But when you've gone through some experimentation, you figure out what your body likes and doesn't like, you figure out your triggers, you actually can make the choice to eat what you want and have it obviously still be nourishing physically, but on that mental and emotional level, you're absolutely enjoying what you're eating, and that's what makes it sustainable. And yes, this might take some transition, might take a little bit of adaptation to changing your taste buds, and we'll talk about sugar and cravings and everything this week, but just know that we're not telling you to do anything that you're not going to enjoy. We want you to enjoy what you're eating primarily. So that's what makes it sustainable. Your diet in terms of like nourishment needs to be flexible. So you need to be able to adapt to those certain times, certain days. This is going to require that you get rid of the idea of perfection. I often see women eating very strict diets throughout the week, and they think, I've been doing really well. I've eaten perfectly all week, so I deserve a treat. And then that spirals them into an unhealthy pattern over the weekend. They get to Sunday night, Monday, they hate themselves, and they go back on a super strict diet. We definitely don't want it to be this way. We want you to learn to be flexible and forgive yourself and, love the choices that you make and be confident about those choices. So there is not going to be a perfect diet. It's definitely going to be determined by a number of different factors. So the goal here, our goal for diet, our goal for really every behavior that you have in terms of your health, is to get in tune with your body. And we talk more in depth about this. Amanda will talk about this tomorrow, getting in tune with your body and finding your intuition, but learning what habits help you feel good, what foods help you feel good, and what don't. And that's what's going to help you to design a diet, a lifestyle that is going to help you be your healthiest and to create good, natural, stable energy. So we're going to talk about listening to your body, being able to adapt to different circumstances, and most of all, not stressing about food, not stressing about having too many calories, too much fat, whatever. Thinking of this as easygoing, this is balance, flexibility, and nourishment for your body. So in terms of like how that's going to look for person to person, I think that nourishing foods on an emotional and mental level obviously vary from person to person. It's based on your history and it's based on your lifestyle, and whether that means your grandmother's famous cookies at Christmas, or having a glass of wine with friends you haven't seen in a while, or even you had a stressful long day at work and the thought of cooking is extremely stressful, so you're just going to order something in. These are all ways that your diet can be mentally and emotionally nourishing on top of being physically nourishing. So it's whatever helps you round out your approach and obviously maintains health first and foremost, but nothing that you're doing, no choice that you're making is bad or good as long as you're the one that's making the choice. So a couple things I definitely want to touch upon really quickly is what drains your energy in terms of food. You know, what foods might drain your energy? What habits might drain your energy? So this can get pretty complex. I definitely could talk about this for hours, but I want to speak on it on pretty simple terms. So if we think about the types of foods that are physically nourishing, then the foods that are not physically nourishing and the things that drain our energy are the foods that are the opposite of the nourishing foods. So if we think nourishing foods as whole and nutrient rich and unprocessed, then the foods that are refined and processed and nutrient poor are those that are going to drain our energy. These are more inflammatory to our bodies. So again, I don't want to talk about foods being bad or good. I'm talking about this as a framework of, you know, what's going to detract from your health and your energy naturally. So these are things that are going to drain our bodies. They're going to stress out some of the systems, like our digestive systems and our blood sugar handling mechanisms. They're actually even going to deplete some of our own energy stores in order to digest them. So highly refined foods that have no micronutrients in them, our body uses micronutrients to digest them. So we actually drain some of our own nutrient stores. So anything that's super refined, anything that has added chemicals, heated processed vegetable oils, hydrogenated fats, fake sweeteners, artificial ingredients, colorings, those super highly processed foods are what are the most inflammatory to our bodies. This also means refined sugar, so white sugar, and even white processed grain products, white pastas and breads. These are they're higher in calories, in relation to their micronutrients. So there's very little vitamins and minerals in them, and if there are, they're added synthetically. So our bodies can't even really use them that much. So these are not really nourishing physically to our bodies. Again, you're reading ingredients lists. This means things that have long ingredients lists, words you can't pronounce, and even some of the gimmicky marketing terms like this is a diet food, this is a low calorie, low fat food, that signals this is a processed food. So these are the things that definitely are going to drain our energy, everyone's energy. Now, some of us will have specific food intolerances that will also drain our energy because they're going to stress our bodies. They're going to stress our digestive and our immune systems. And most commonly, I'm not saying this is for everybody, but I want to outline this so you have the education. Most commonly, this is gluten. So this is a protein that's found in wheat, barley, and rye. Dairy products, so there's a specific type of protein in dairy that's very inflammatory. And soy. Soy is a protein that, again, it's very highly processed, often genetically modified. And, for women especially, there's definitely a question of, soy and our hormones, and if that positively benefits us or negatively does. So those three proteins, gluten, casein, which is in dairy, and soy, are commonly inflammatory. And how you decide to craft that in your own diet, whether it's avoiding one or maybe lessening or different types, is definitely very individual. But we'll talk about this and how, what some symptoms can clue you into a food being a problem for you and how to really design your meals so that you're, avoiding those ingredients or foods that don't make you feel your best. So that's the food category in its broadest, the broadest way I can say is what's physically nourishing. It's just very highly processed inflammatory foods, things that are refined and don't have a lot of nutrition in them. But the last thing that I want to talk about is habits and thoughts regarding food and how those drain your energy. And I think as women, a lot of us can say we've been there, and I definitely can say I've been there too in my history of dieting and following what the newest diet is and really learning about my own body. So a couple of habits and thought processes that can actually drain your energy. So skipping meals, grazing throughout the day, having small snacks and bites of food instead of actually eating a full meal. Obviously cutting back your calories and cutting back on the nutrition you're giving your body. Relying on coffee or sugar or white carbohydrate foods because they give you a quick energy boost. Anything that's really stressing those systems and, changing how your body is interpreting what you're eating and the foods that the nutrients that you're getting is absolutely going to interfere with your energy naturally. And a lot of those things I'm going to touch upon in day 3 when we talk about blood sugar, but just know that we want you thinking about food as obviously nourishment and a real whole meal. Sit down and eat an actual meal. Don't skip, don't graze, food as the way it should be. And the last is that, the thought processes that can drain your energy. And I think whether we realize it or not, maybe you will now, you'll see that a lot of these things do drain your energy. So obsessing over food or overthinking what you're eating, going to make breakfast and, second guessing everything that you go to make is draining. It's physically draining. Or if you're at work and, your coworkers are ordering lunch and you sit with the menu for like an hour and you can't think about what to eat because you don't know, does it have too many calories? What's in this dressing? And really overthinking your food can drain your energy. Any guilt around food. So if you're going to eat a cookie or a slice of pizza or have a glass of wine, enjoy it. If you're not going to enjoy it and you're going to feel guilty about it, A, was that even worth it then? And B, that guilt is going to drain your energy. So, having no guilt around food, making those educated and conscious decisions about what you eat is absolutely going to help you to have more energy. Restricting yourself, we talked about that, and a lack of control around your food. So I did touch upon that before, but, thinking that, that food's bad, so I can't eat it, or that food's not on my diet, so I can't have it, that's going to drain your energy for sure. But choice around food is empowering, making a choice to have a healthful, nutrient-dense meal and making a choice to not, put extra sugar in your coffee. Those are going to empower you and make you feel better and naturally restore your energy. So let's finish up by talking about what our contest for today is. So these contests are really fun and exciting, and Amanda and I are really excited to see what you guys or ladies all contribute, and obviously someone's going to be picked to win a fun prize. So today we're talking about adding nourishing foods, not cutting anything out. So in your workbook under day 1, you're going to see a list of our top 10 nourishing foods, our favorite nourishing foods, and what you'll be doing is choosing at least one food from this list and adding it to a meal today. And you're going to take a picture of that meal and you're going to post it in the comment section on this video. So if you'll see, where it says write a comment, you click that, there should be a little picture to add an image, especially if you're doing this right from your phone. It's super easy. Click the image that you want and post it as a comment. If anybody's having any trouble, you can, let us know and we'll help you out. But we want to see you adding these foods into your diet today, and we'll pick a random winner today to win a prize. So let's get into the fun stuff. What's the prize for today? Again, our theme of nourishing food, and obviously a lot of this will mean preparing and cooking some of your own food or most of your own food. So today's prize is actually a cast iron pan, a cast iron skillet. And there's a number of reasons why we chose this. Amanda and I both use cast irons in our own kitchens very often. I've switched a majority of my cooking supplies over to cast iron for a number of different reasons. For one, my favorite, they are super simple to use and to clean. Simplest thing to clean ever. They actually are much more healthy than some of like the non-stick coatings and other types of, pans and pots out there with some chemicals in them. Cast iron, there's no chemical coating or anything on there, and the flavor of your food actually locks in. So the more you use it and the more you season your pan, the better your food tastes. And I also love to just use mine because, yes, I know we're all super busy. We've all got a lot going on. So one dish meals in a cast iron pan, the easiest thing. So one person today who comments with a picture of their meal with the nourishing food will get entered, will win that cast iron pan. And we'll tell you how to redeem that. We'll announce it tomorrow. So that's it for today. We're really excited to see all of the delicious and really nourishing meals. I want everybody to feel free. Post multiple pictures. Post, if you did it at breakfast, lunch, and dinner and added nourishing foods, post them all. If you've got questions, feel free. If you want more clarification, I'm going to post some resources for you in the comments, but share, share, share. I love already the fact that this group has grown so fast, so quickly, and that everybody is so vocal. And I want that to continue, and I know Amanda does too, because this is a safe space for you to share struggles, successes, questions, whatever you've got. This is a private group, so be open, and we're here to help any way we can. That's it for today. So we will see you tomorrow when we discuss getting in tune with your body. And if you have anything that's private and you maybe don't want to post it, you can reach Amanda and I. If you just reply to that email that you get in your inbox, you'll get right to us, or it's hello@bodyimbalancenutrition.com. Thank you, and we'll see you tomorrow.